Hey there, folks. I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and it's Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. So this was a weird time of year for me. The year-end lists are done. I've got a couple spare moments to work on upcoming projects for 2020 and figure out how the hell IGTV works with only a minor hangover. And then you realize there's an episode of Billboard Breakdown to put together. And this is gonna sound crass, but in the weird dead zone where we're stuck between the hopes of a new year to come and an avalanche of overplayed Christmas music, I have to ask, do any of you care all that much? At all? And I asked this specifically off of the top 10, where the top 4 songs are Christmas songs. Here, because of the streaming is enormous, you have holiday radio, and in the case of our consistent number 1, All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey, she's even got a new video to entrench that hold. And it becomes just kind of weird for a chart watcher like me, because at least around this time of year there was something to compete with Mariah and the rest of the holiday standards. But instead, we got Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee holding at number 2, Jingle Bell Rock by Bobby Helms at number 3, and A Holly Jolly Christmas by Burl Ives at number 4. And none of these songs are all that interesting for me to discuss because by next week, or at the very latest the week after, they're all gonna be gone. Now I guess this leaves Circles by Post Malone as the last one standing at number 5, but it's not like it's dominant hit in radio or sales, nor is Roxanne by Arizona Zervis at number 6, which I do see gaining some ground thanks to better sales, but the radio stalled out and there's no guarantee that the streaming will persist. But you know what? We're still not done with Christmas music, because at number 7, It's the Most Wonderful Time by Andy Williams enters the top 10. Again, it's not gonna last, so not really much of a point me saying anything. Then we got the twin radio clunkers of Someone You Love by Louis Capaldi at number 8, and Memories by Maroon 5 at number 9, although they both have way more sales than they really should, and that's on you, America. And bringing up the rear, we got Good as Hell by Lizzo at number 10, which was kind of all over the place on the radio, even as it absolutely dominated the sales this week. But with very little streaming, again, the second it faces some real competition, this song will be in trouble. But on that note, our losers and dropouts, and why I find this time of year particularly frustrating, because outside of our 2 major dropouts being Only Human by the Jonas Brothers and Prayed For You by Matt Stell, any real chart shifts was driven by an influx of more goddamn Christmas music surging up the charts. So I can't really make any real predictions what's actually going to rebound here. Now, there are a couple that are pretty easy to explain. Futsal Shuffle 2020 by Lil Uzi Vert collapsing to 48 off the debut, that makes complete sense. As is Harry Styles having both Watermelon Sugar and Adore You fall to 87 and 53 respectively off the album Boost. Although I would have preferred that it not impact his former bandmate Niall Horan's Nice to Meet Ya down at 93. Beyond that, I guess people aren't really looking for a lot of trap around the holidays, because Highest in the Room by Travis Scott fell down to 38. It's probably going to rebound next week. Whoa by Lil Baby hit 47. Ransom by Lil Tecca hit 50. No Idea by Don Toliver slid down to 60 off the gains. Tiptoe by Roddy Ricch featuring A Boogie hit 95. And even Heartless by The Weeknd dropped down to 39. And beyond that, well, Trampoline by Shade might be fading naturally at 46, and I can only hope that Falling by Trevor Daniel lives up to his title at 51, but I'll also say that One Man Band by Old Dominion's dropping gracefully at 54, as is On Chill by Wale featuring Jeremiah at 58. What I'm concerned about is Even Though I'm Leaving by Luke Combs at 59, because I would still like to see this make my year-end list for 2020, but while the radio is sturdy, I'd like to see it recover nicely in the next week or so. I just want to see that happen. But now let's talk about our cause of all this, the album bomb and everything but name, the holiday music dominating our returns and gains. Seriously, we had more than twice the returns this week than new arrivals, and the majority is Christmas music. Christmas Baby Please Come Home by Darlene Love at 29, Underneath the Tree by Kelly Clarkson at 31, Run Rudolph Run by Chuck Berry at 36, There's No Place Like Home for the Holidays by Perry Como at 37, Blue Christmas by Elvis Elvis Presley at 40, White Christmas by Bing Crosby at 42, Jingle Bells by Frank Sinatra at 43, and to complete our total dissonance, our non-holiday entries are Tusa by Karol G and Nicki Minaj at 98, and South the Border by Ed Sheeran featuring Camila Cabello and Cardi B at 100. Guess that tells us where everybody else really wants to be in this weather. And yet all our gains are holiday music too. Feliz Navidad by Jose Feliciano at number 12, Let It Snow by Dean Martin at 15, The Christmas Song by Nat King Cole at 16, Sleigh Ride by the Ronettes at 21, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer at 22, Happy Holidays, The Holiday Song by Andy Williams at 24. Really? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas by Perry Como and the Fontaine Sisters at 28. And Here Comes Santa Claus by Gene Autry at 32. And look, I'm not trying to be a Scrooge here. I actually had a really nice Christmas this year for once. But this is more than a little bit ridiculous. And I'd be fascinated to see if Billboard actually changes up the rules here to prevent this from happening again. It might have been good for the 1 year, letting Mariah get her number 1 and the legacy acts, but I can see some of this being shut down in the near future, just by some label pressure. Just saying. Now anyway, we only got 4 new arrivals, and 3 of them are holiday songs. I'm gonna skip the Ideal Hit and World Hit because on the main channel I've been putting out multiple half-hour long videos and I'd like a short break from obscene amounts of editing. So let's get this started with number 85, Slide by H.E.R featuring YG.
Baby, when we gon' slide.
Okay, can someone in H.E.R.'s promotional team explain what the hell she's doing? The hype has been consistent the past couple years, but every time I've expected her to really take off and gain traction, it just has not happened. And I'm not sure launching a single at this point of the year is the best timing for success, and that's before you consider the baffling YG feature. But alright, here we are. And am I the only one who thinks this sounds really awkward? Part of this is her always seeming to have a lot more class and dignity in a lot of her delivery, which is never aligned with anything YG's ever done, and trying to split the difference in the production between the liquid guitar background and the bassy West Coast groove that never really locks in. It's an odd combination, especially in trying to play for a loose hookup vibe, or to quote YG, a vacation. I think that's the biggest problem with this. It's too restrained and faux classy in its delivery to be all that fun, but the chemistry's slapdash and the writing's kinda undercooked, so I'm lukewarm on it at best. Just say that. Number 69, Happy Xmas, War is Over by John Legend.
You died, another year over.
So I would say that I'm not convinced a proper version of this exists, because not only is this not on the majority of streaming platforms, outside of the live performance with Georgia Smith I found on YouTube, this is an Amazon Music exclusive that is only available for purchase from the United States. The only way I could hear it in full was signing up for Amazon Music, which I did, and then I promptly unsubscribed because when you have the definition of a milquetoast cover of a bad Christmas song being hawked as an exclusive, you can kindly go fuck yourself. For the life of me, I have no unearthly clue why John Legend thought this was a good idea, but it does fit the general rampant hypocrisy that's always underlined a lot of John Lennon's original activism, so why not make this guilt trip a corporate tool as well? So yeah, this isn't good at all. Frankly, it sucks in every single way possible. Next, number 49, You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch by Thurl Ravenscroft.
You're as cuddly as a cactus, you're as charming as an eel.
Now here's a song I've always liked, written by Dr. Seuss himself, and then sung originally uncredited by the late Thurl Ravenscroft, who you might have recognized from a ridiculous number of Disney credits in the Golden Age, as well as voicing Tony the Tiger for around 50 years. I'm always a little bit stunned that this became a holiday staple, but it's also the sort of song that's got so much personality, you kinda have to love it. It's a Christmas song that's 6 verses of pure insults. If that's not apropos for the season, I don't know what is. Now the arrangement, it's a classic. Ravenscroft's bass, it's iconic, and even if every remake of the original animated movie is concentrated awful, this at least holds up. Great song. And finally, number 45, Baby It's Cold Outside by Dean Martin.
But baby, it's cold outside.
This evening has
Been hoping that you drop in.
Now, I know what you're all thinking. Of course, we got the big return of the controversial holiday staple that's become one of the biggest symbolic points in the culture war. And am I the only one who feels like all of this has been massively overblown? For one, cultural context is important. Originally written in the 1940s by Frank Loesner, it was intended as a cheeky back and forth with his wife to get people to leave their dinner party so they could fuck, which gave the songwriter enough clout to eventually sell the song to MGM and win himself an Oscar. Now, that's not saying I don't hear the controversy, the lines about what's in her drink and seemingly how persistent this guy is. It can feel really pushy, kind of creepy, which is why the execution and framing of the song has always been so important. Because the key to making this work is the smolder and the chemistry, the back and forth between the singers, where it's more flirtatious, not a date rape signal. Now, this is all the more evident when it featured in the 1949 film Neptune's Daughter, and yet it's sadly not quite as much in Dean Martin's cover, most because the anonymous backing singers don't have equal weight to him on the song, even if the production and delivery is pretty decent. But as a whole, look, it's an artifact of the past that's always had a lot of flaws, especially this cover. And while I think all the attempts to ban it from radio are really ridiculous, I don't see the reason why anyone should fight for it or care about it either. It's not that good of a song, there's no shortage of sexy vintage holiday music if that's what you're looking for, and there are bigger fights than this. In the end, I just don't care. But it wound up being pretty easy this week. And no, baby, it's cold outside, it's not getting the worst. That's going to John Legend's asinine and pointless cover of Happy Xmas, War is Over. The streaming exclusive Wars was supposed to be over 3 years ago. You don't need to get into bed with Amazon, John. Now the best is You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch by Thurl Ravenscroft, because of course it is. The song's great. Now let's watch it all fall away next week with the new year as we deal with the inevitable Travis Scott thing. Stay tuned for that in 2020, folks. But until then, I'm Mark. You're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse. And I'll see you next time.